Welcome to another biblically based look into today's news from Christian Voice New Zealand. Now here's Mike Bain.
Hello, I'm Mike Bain from Christian Voice New Zealand. First up, I've got to apologise. The length of this podcast is a little bit longer than usual, but such is the importance of what I'm about to tell you. So please stick with us to the end. We start with a recent announcement that the United Nations is to bring about change in their Agenda 2030 plans, have ratified the motion to work with closer ties with the World Economic Forum. And it passed by with barely a mention. In this country, you shouldn't be surprised you haven't heard about it. Clearly, reporting the news, the PM has been chased by a toddler around the house with a banana is of far, far greater importance. But hard on the heels of this announcement is the World Health Organization's pandemic treaty, which will have been presented by the time this podcast goes to air by the World Health Organization Assembly in Geneva. The ramifications of this backdoor Trojan horse will have a significant impact on the future direction of who holds the world's power in the future. Some countries like Ireland and Greece are waking up and alarmed as to what signing up to a simple world response to future pandemics will mean to them. There's an expectation New Zealand as a member nation will be a signatory to this treaty. In summary, this is what has both the Irish and the Greeks alarmed. The draft of the World Health Organization's Global Pandemic Treaty on pandemic preparedness would grant it absolute power over global biosecurity. This then gives the World Health Organization the absolute power to implement digital identities, vaccine passports, mandatory vaccinations, travel restrictions, standardized medical care, and much, much more. While countries around the world are backing away from vaccination passports and have scrubbed their COVID measures, listen again to the rhetoric from the Minister in charge of New Zealand's health response as to the government putting in place the framework for a new vaccination certificate, and you have to ask why. So here's the reason why. It's because the World Health Organization is still moving ahead with its global vaccine passport program. So if the World Health Organization is given authority to dictate biosecurity rules for the world, you can bet they're going to insist on vaccine passports with built-in digital identity and readiness for a centralized programmable central bank digital currency. The WHO fully intends to provide support to its 194 member states to facilitate the implementation of the digital verification technology for countries, both nationally and regional verification of vaccine status. Vaccination certificates that are tamper-proof and digitally verifiable build trust. So WHO is therefore supporting member states in building national and regional trust networks and verification technology. I can still hear you say, look, it's not a dreadful thing, but the World Health Organization really is just not qualified to make global decisions. Let me give you some examples, or just one, of their ineptitude was when they didn't publicly admit the SARS-CoV-2 was airborne and continued to ignore early advice about transmission until the end of December 2021. Yet scientists knew the virus was airborne within weeks of the pandemic being declared. More importantly, a one-size-fits-all approach to pandemic response simply doesn't work, because pandemic threats are not identical in all parts of the world. Even people in the same region don't have the identical risk and may not need or benefit from identical treatment. The World Health Assembly will also vote on the amendments to the international health regulations, which may also strip away more individual rights and liberties. Now have I got your attention? Anything which gives an organisation the legal framework to override the sovereignty of New Zealand should be opposed. But here's the thing. If you don't know it's happening, you can't do anything. And if you can't do anything, then it's just going to happen. New Zealanders opposed the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, TPPA, in 2016, which would have seen it revoke our sovereignty if we defaulted with payments. We knew about it, and we did something about it, and we stopped it happening. The globalists that brought us the wildly exaggerated COVID pandemic to cement biosecurity grids into place are now hard at work on the next phase of this new world order. Many speak about a new world order. Let's rebrand that as the Great Reset. The Great Reset is driven by the World Economic Forum, which New Zealand is a member. I mentioned earlier the pandemic treaty is a backdoor Trojan horse. And when you consider why it's coming through the back door in a South-like manner, it's because your government doesn't want you to know what commitments it's making for its people in the future. Think hard about how this New Zealand government has tried to introduce change into our country by stealth. Hey, Puapua, Three Waters, reforms in health, education, even the interpretation of democracy is undergoing change. The steps taken for a one-world government sets the stage nicely with all its control for just one purpose, and that's the ushering in of the Antichrist. In the history of the West, over the past 2,000 years, there's never been a time when someone hasn't predicted the end of the world. But today, with a seemingly insoluble climate crisis, pandemic surges, savage wildfires, hurricanes, and a renewed nuclear arms race, there's no reason to stop. Many may feel, as poet John Donne put it in The Anatomy of the World in 1611, "'Tis all in pieces, all coherence gone." As Christians, we know the path this world is on. We know all these steps taken are all for one purpose. It's not for our benefit, but to pave the way for the man the Apostle Paul called the man of lawlessness, the Antichrist. So let me leave you with Paul's words from the NIV. There he says, "For you know very well that the day of the Lord will come like a thief in the night, while people are saying, peace and safety, destruction will come on them suddenly, as labour pains on a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. But you, brothers and sisters, are not in darkness, so that this day should surprise you like a thief. You are all children of the light and children of the day. We do not belong to the night or to the darkness. So then, let us not be like others who are asleep, but let us be awake and sober. For those who sleep, sleep at night, and those who get drunk at night. But since we belong to the day, let us be sober, putting on faith and love as a breastplate, and the hope of salvation as a helmet. For God did not appoint us to suffer wrath, but to receive salvation through the Lord Jesus Christ. He died for us, so that whether we are awake or asleep, we may live together with him. Therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just in fact, you are doing."
Feel free to leave your comments, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. For more information about our work and how you can support it is available on our website, christianvoicenewzealand.com.